Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Second hour of the program begins right now. You heard it, Danny Clinkscale, the one, the only, from DannyClinkscale.com. He joins us here in the program, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, your roof is high. Their workers are not. So if you've got residential or commercial roofing problems, Easton Roofing will fix them so you can get back to business, get back to your life faster. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426 to schedule your free, honest estimate. Right now, find them online at eastonroofing.com. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Bright sunny day, looking ahead to the holidays. A lot of
too.
Business going on in my world, so
Good for you.
Good stuff
Good
right
stuff.
now.
Good
yeah.
deal.
Open.
Let's start.
Go
I
ahead.
want to start with the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to. You said don't ask me how I'm doing last week, and then I did it again, and so I was like, all right, shut this down. But I'm glad you're doing well. So
Yes.
I genuinely want to know how you're doing, so that's why I asked that. But anyway, I digress. I want to start with the Royals. Mike Matheny had a press conference this week, and I appreciate the Royals making him available this week and chatting about the moves they've made. We talked about Carlos Santana. Here's the question I want to ask you. It's one of the questions I asked Mike Matheny on the Zoom, and that was they always attack free agency quick.
Right.
They're always one of the first to move. They never wait and let the market shake out and react.
Yeah,
Now,
I think that cost him millions of dollars on Ian Kennedy that year.
Yeah, you can certainly make that case, right? You can certainly make that case that they didn't read that the pitching market was declining, or at least that the Ian Kennedy market may not have been there. So that may have cost them. You can make a strong case for that. I hear you. But do you like I know you like Carlos Santana.
I do.
So do you think that we're ultimately going to be regretting? We're going to say, like, listen, Kyle Schwarber just signed 1 year, $3 million. Like, what? Like, are we going to look at something like that? I really like Schwarber and Almora, and I asked Mike Matheny, I said, okay, so does this mean you're done, or are you still looking and seeing where things are going? I hate to say this because I don't want to start building the expectations of fans that listen to this program, Royals fans that listen to this program, that somehow John Sherman needs to be opening the checkbook. I don't think so. I'm thrilled with what he's done already. If they'd have said, listen, we just paid $1 billion and lost $200 million right behind that, we're not signing anybody, I'd be like, got it, I'm cool, just keep the young pipeline coming and I'll be patient. I would have been totally fine with that, right? But not only, and they kept all their employees, they didn't furlough people, they didn't give them pay cuts. I mean, I couldn't be more proud of John Sherman and his group owning the ball club that I root for. I mean, I take that as a badge of honor. I've already talked crap on a friend of mine, for their team, making cuts, and I'm like, this guy just laid out $1 billion and lost money, and he's not doing that. Your guys are a-holes, right? So I've already had that discussion, but I am curious. Do you think that there might be another signing at the end if the market does end up coming back? That's a little bit light.
I think it's possible because it doesn't seem like John Sherman is shy about the fact that he's going to spend some money. This is going to be his first full season as an owner in a normal, regular baseball season.
Normal-ish.
Well, yeah, normal-ish, we hope. Maybe, by April, we hope it's, somewhat closer to normal. And that he also may have his first season where he has fans in the stands. I'm trying to remember. Isn't this the first year of the new TV contract?
It might be.
Yeah,
Maybe Curtis can look that up.
I think because it was announced anyway, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know if the terms were, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I
don't know if it kicks in this year.
I don't
think
it kicks in for until like 23 or something. Actually, now that I think about it.
Anyway, so I think there's a little more normalcy right now. So I wouldn't see it, and I think
starts in 22, runs through 28.
Okay, there we go. So that's one season away. So yeah, I think it's possible, and I also think that there are going to be some potential bargains out there at the end. And I think that in the end, the signing of Carlos Santana might be looked at as a little overpriced, but you're jumping in on a very valuable commodity, and you got him. Yeah, I think Carlos Santana is a player who would be a good fit with a lot of teams.
I do too.
And maybe even a couple of teams in this division. I mean, he's clobbered the Royals in the past. That shouldn't color what you do, but he's had no problem sitting in this stadium. So I think, yes, I think there is that possibility that the Royals are still going to be active, especially in the context of Mike Matheny saying, which I guess you have to say, but he said it out loud in so many words, that he was optimistic about their chances for contention in the division this year. Right now as constituted, I don't really buy that, but I think they certainly are better. They'd need an awful lot of things to go right in what looks to be a super competitive division.
They need their middle infield to hit.
Yeah, and I don't see. I'm not saying I've completely given up on him, but I don't think Nicky Lopez is ever going to hit much.
I don't see it either.
That's my feeling right now. I mean, he's had quite a lot of at-bats and all that stuff about him, never not making contact when he was in the minors has proved to be just, fool's gold. So he was a plus fielder. So if you build a whole bunch of things around him, I don't think you could have both of those guys not hit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
One or the other at least has to hit.
Yeah, I agree. And so I am optimistic. I think I still do believe that they're just so sold on Mondesi that Mondesi's going to hit. And so if that's the case, once, and he's probably always going to be streaky, but if the end result are good productive numbers, then you start to get to where, and if Hunter Dozier's going to play third, you look around and you go, okay, we got to hit her at first, got to hit her at short, got to hit her at third, got to hit her behind the dish, got to hit her at DH in Soler. Wherever they're going to play Witt, you got to hit her. Now you're looking at, 2 outfield spots and second base where you're going to find somebody.
Right, and I think that in this day and age, deep lineups are almost mandatory in baseball. The power pitching and the fact that so many pitchers are used, you have to have length in that line. You can't be giving away free innings, and the Royals have been in that business for several years now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very encouraged. I like that they're going out. I think Carlos Santana is a responsible deal, but one that's about winning some ball games right now. And that's one of the things John Sherman said to me when he was on with us last week. He said, yeah, but winning's always important. So, yes, we have to get more wins. And so I think that does, I think responsible spending is here. And I could see, I asked him, I said, what's your philosophy? Can you get it up and running every year, or do you have to have kind of windows that you target and go for it? And I think the reality is when it's up and running, you sustain it as long as you can. Right? But when it's over, you got to recognize it's over and then punt and tank and reload it with as much as you can. Like, that's one thing I think that the Royals may ultimately, and I think even Dave Moore, I mean, he said it the last time we had him on, that if he had it to do over again, yeah, there are some things he'd do differently. Like in the fourth year of a guy's, once you start to get into those arbitration years, the guy's still got a lot of value in trades, but if you're not going to get him signed, then you got to move on. And I think that's one of the lessons that he took away from, how hard they crashed, because I think if he misread something, it was thinking that, well, we're never going to bottom out with this 100-loss thing, and they ended up being 100 losses back to back.
Right. I don't think he foresaw that, and I think he was embarrassed, and he took it personally, and he probably should.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking to Danny Clinkscale here in the program. Drew Brees to play for the Saints. Number one, do you believe that he's going to play?
Yes, I do believe that.
I do too. Do you think he ought to be playing? If you were the Saints, would you be playing him?
It seemed like he, practiced all week. They know what their medical people are telling him. So, yeah, this is a big game. They're still vying for the number one seed. They looked bad last week. So, yeah, I think, flak jackets do exist. So, yeah, I think he should play.
Well, theoretically, they're all wearing it already. I mean, those guys have the rib things on already.
Right. Well, maybe there's like shoulder pads. Maybe there's a couple versions of them, the souped-up version and whatever. He doesn't make his living going down the field, although he still kind of can. Yeah, I think that from all indications, they were really good at keeping a lid on this, and that he was taking the first-team reps all week long, that this wasn't really kind of a dicey decision, and they were full on it, and he hasn't responded negatively to any of the days of practice. So I think I'm glad. It just creates a more exciting game.
Oh, I agree with that. If he, they're saying that he's still sore, and I would not be risking him if I were the Saints. Like, I don't think that extra. I mean, there's no guarantee that he plays. First of all, they're already down to the Packers on the tiebreaker because the Packers won the head-to-head.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that he plays, that you can get to that number one. And so I don't think I would play him if he's sore, then he's not healed.
Yeah, but it just depends on what sore is. Hey, I'm dubious of a lot of the reports now. What did we hear early in the week?
11 broken ribs and a collapsed lung.
But I mean, we heard early in the week that there was no chance he was going to play, basically, and that has proved not to be the case. So, how am I supposed to trust another report that says he's sore? Now, I'm sure he's not 100% feels great as he ever did. But ribs are funny. I've broken my ribs before, and they kind of heal pretty well. So, I didn't do it playing football, but I did it crashing into cement on the ground. I think it's probably a pain tolerance thing. I don't think it's a re-injury type of deal. So, I guess I feel like this isn't something that you're going to – they'd have to break them again in order for this to be bad. And, there's always a possibility that you could do that, but I don't think it would be a result of what already was in place.
Where's your level of concern for the offensive line of the Chiefs?
Oh, I think there's some concern there. I think that the offensive line has been, bailed out by Patrick Mahomes oftentimes this year. So, and they've had so many injuries and so many things that have compromised their ability to put a regular offensive line. I think we just gotten spoiled by the fact that the Chiefs have been able to mix and match over the last few years, and they've had a quarterback who can mitigate some of those problems with his ability to get out of trouble and create plays when he is in trouble. So, yes, it's a concern, but, the Chiefs have only lost one game this year, and they've had several concerns. Their defense has been, up and down, to say the least. I think they've proved that if another team is in the game and wants to run the football, they can. I think that's proved. I don't think the Chiefs have proved to us at all ever that they can stop the run. I think it's only game circumstances that have helped that out. But they've been able to overcome all of it. In a large part is because their offense is so great, but also their defense makes timely plays. They're not a complete mess like 2018, although they're closer to 2018 than they were to 2019. So level of concern is sort of it's kind of up in the air with the Chiefs because each area of concern they can seem to overcome. And yes, I do. I think the Chiefs are maybe, right in between maybe 18 and 19. I don't think they're closer to, I don't think they're like almost like 18, but they certainly aren't almost like 19 either.
Is this offense better than either 18 or 19?
I think it is overall. Obviously, when you had Kareem Hunt on the team, that was great. But I don't think some of the other parts that were even great then. I think Tyreek Hill's a better player now. I think Travis Kelce, remarkably, is a better player now. You have Sammy Watkins. So I guess and I think Patrick Mahomes is better. So I think
I think they are better offensively. I think this is their best version of the offense, because I think people have also forgotten. I think because of how explosive they've been here of late, they forget that they can also pound the rock. And we saw that early, and that was like this, I think everybody's focusing on the big plays, which is fine, because there was kind of a feeling like, well, geez, if they have teams at least figured out how to take away the big plays. The answer is no, at least not every team. And we'll see they're going up against a really good defense in the Saints, but the Saints like to play man-to-man defense, and the Chiefs usually eat that up. And so I do think this will be pretty telling, but I absolutely believe this offense is better, because I think Mahomes is better. And that's all it really takes. But I think Tyreek Hill's at the peak of his powers. I think Travis Kelce's at the peak of his powers. The offensive line scares me to death, though.
Yeah, I think especially against a very good defense. And we saw that, Patrick Mahomes could have some negative plays go against him last week, overcame him, obviously, and the Chiefs overcame him too. But, it's another 3-interception game or another, multi-sack game. It puts you in peril. They're better than the Dolphins. But they've got a tiebreaker and a 1-game lead on the Steelers, so they can drop this game and still be the number 1 seed. So,
yeah, they can.
Yeah.
And that's why I wonder if we don't see a super conservative game plan that gets the ball out early. They don't even try for the home run balls. They try to run their way to a win. If they can get the win, great. If not, they want to protect Mahomes with potentially, right now Eric Fisher listed as questionable, Mike Remmers as doubtful. Fisher practiced, Remmers didn't. Reed said Fisher looked pretty good. So I think Fisher will play. How effective he'll be, we will see. But I don't think Remmers is going to play. He's listed as doubtful. And I think if Fisher would have to leave the game, and knowing that backs are always, about ready to flare back up, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think if we see them out there just pounding away with the running game, it's like, okay, we can lose this one, but we're not getting Mahomes killed.
Right. Although I think that, Andy Reid, I don't think really thinks in those kind of terms maybe that much. I think he feels like Patrick Mahomes can take care of himself. Not like he wants to put him in a bullseye or something. But quarterbacks just, elite quarterbacks so seldom get hurt. I don't know if it crosses the coach's minds as much but maybe more so this week because Drew Brees is the opponent and he's just missed time for the second straight year.
I hear you, because the reason the great quarterbacks don't usually get hurt is because they get rid of the ball.
Right, and great quarterbacks are usually playing on good teams, but that doesn't play into your point because you're concerned because the offensive line isn't playing well.
Right.
So, but it is pretty remarkable how, these long streaks of top quarterbacks playing in games, and usually it's some real unfortunate type of injury that keeps them out a whole season, but that's the only time they ever miss, like Brady or Roethlisberger last year.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm always worried. Every start Zach Greinke ever made in a Royals uniform, I thought he was about ready to walk off the field hurt because of the way he twists and turns and,
And he's never gotten hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just a chronic worrier when it comes to the injury side of things, and so this does scare me a little bit because this is a good defensive team. Although I don't think they're as good as these numbers, like, over their last, since week 8, look at their numbers. Like, well, look at who they played.
Yeah, they played a wide receiver at quarterback. They played, backups, and they've had things go in their favor. But a confident defense, certainly, and a talented defense. But they can only play who you play, and they're probably feeling pretty good about the way they play defense. But the Chiefs can make a good defense feel pretty bad pretty fast. Like, what the hell? We've been shutting everybody down, and it's 17-0 right now. And what was the game just a couple weeks ago? was it the Bucs game? They made adjustments. But by the time they did, I'll give them credit for coming off the ropes defensively. I thought they were so down in the mouth at the Chiefs embarrassing them that the Chiefs were going to completely run them off the field, and they didn't. They slowed them down after that. But you can really get into a defense's head because, we came in with this great plan, we've been playing great, and they're just toying with us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to talk. We'll take a break, and I want to talk about, when the NFL is going to go to going for it more on fourth down, being more aggressive, scoring more points. The taking your foot off the gas pedal thing, or is that not necessarily? Is it? Just you're out of good plays, right? We'll talk about that with Danny Clinkscale next. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Estimates always free, and suggestions are built on integrity. Let Easton Roofing educate you about every possible roofing solution for your home or business. It's not about Easton Roofing. It's about your specific roofing need. Easton Roofing is an Angie's List Super Service Award winner. Call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com. Get back to business faster with Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, integrity matters.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing, integrity matters.
All right, the Joe's Kansas City Barbecue burnt end of the hour answer.
Kind of funky there, huh?
Oh, yeah, I like that. Oh, wow.
Some fish for you.
Good stuff.
There's a really cool article, if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Jedro24, about the guy who picks all the jam band music for the Thursday night football games. It's a fun article.
Nice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Cool.
I liked it, but then again, I like all this hippie music.
That is true.
Far out, man. Chiefs have scored 30 points against the Saints twice. I asked for either Chiefs starting quarterback in those games.
Matt Castle?
One was 47, one was 30.
One was what?
30 points. The other was 47.
Oh, I thought you were saying they were that old.
Oh, no.
Like, who the hell's-
Oh, George Blanda played for the.
How about him?
I'll say Lenny.
Nope.
You're probably asking this for a reason.
I'll say Trent Green. Did Trent Green?
One's in the Hall of Fame.
Chiefs quarterback that's in the Hall of Fame, not named Len Dawson?
Mm-hmm.
Warren Moon?
Nope.
It's not bad, Danny.
Who are we missing here?
He didn't go in as a Chief.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Made his bones with the team he was with right before the Chiefs.
He won a lot of Super Bowls.
What are we missing, Danny?
I don't know.
He got knocked out of a really important game in Buffalo as a Chief.
Oh, Joe Montana.
Hey, you guys nailed that one.
We're
Press
missing
that one.
Joe Montana.
God,
Yeah.
oh my God, that is so bad.
I'm
That
just sitting.
is
I'm literally sitting here thinking, what great quarterback came and finished it out with the Chiefs, and I still didn't think of it.
I know. I'm like, what? Like
30 in
What the hell are they
1984.
talking about?
Yeah. I was going to say, he knows football, but that would have been Bo Jackson.
I'm like, these guys are morons.
30 points in 1994. One more.
Okay.
47 points.
Nope.
Wow.
It's before
Gannon,
Montana.
Gerbach, DeBerg,
That's what I did earlier.
Castle, Thigpen,
Jed even said Thigpen, much to my
Palco.
dismay. He said Palco as well.
Croyle.
He said Croyle. Oh, my gosh. Did you guys get together and plan this? This is
Livingston,
fantastic.
Kenny,
Bill Kenny.
Blackledge.
Bill Kenny.
Bill Kenny.
You know,
Nailed it.
I'm sitting there thinking, the politician, and
yep.
I couldn't.
Bill Kenny,
drum
47
up his
in
name.
1985. Montana, 30 in 1984. Both happened on opening day. coincidentally.
Really? I'm going to tell you that is, without a doubt, the worst performance that I have ever had on one of your questions. That is just embarrassing.
Well, especially, you're right.
Joe Montana.
Sometimes you just say, well, this question, I don't like it, or it's too hard, or whatever. There was nothing unfair or untoward about this particular question. We just sucked.
We just sucked. We're just
big
morons.
bag of suck.
No way around it. Joe's Kansas City Barbecue is not, however, a big bag of suck. Go get it right now if you'd like. You can order it up. Joe'sKC.com, the app, the easiest way to order it. It's how I ordered last weekend for us last Saturday night, thanks to the folks at Joe's. Get your curbside to go at Joe's, and, of course, their gift cards are good at Joe's, and, of course, Kansas City Barbecue store as well, where you can get the sauces, the rubs, the utensils, the grill itself. That's a great place to go shopping. If anyone is a griller, if you got someone on your list that's a griller, or just get them the gift card. Like I said, they can take it and get some lunch at Joe's, or they can go to the Kansas City Barbecue store and use it on any one of the great products there. See it right now at joeskc.com, and the Kansas City BBQ store, BBQ is how it is, the Kansas City BBQ store.com. Danny, when do you think the teams will get aggressive enough for us fans?
I think they're getting pretty aggressive. In fact, I think there are times when, old school might be a little bit better. But so I think right now they're extending out, and I don't know how much further we're really going to go right now. I think there are real moments where teams are just spurning field goals too much right now. So if it were me, there are definitely times I would kick a field goal. That they're going on fourth down right now.
I never have a problem with a field goal under 50. None.
Right.
Because I think kickers are so good right now. I know you love the punters. I think the kickers are ridiculous.
Oh, they're both ridiculous.
Especially when you walk out to go try to kick a football. I mean, I can't kick it over a $10 bill. And to see the way they pound it through there and the accuracy, and just when they show that behind view, and I know it makes things look further away than it really is, right? A photograph will sometimes, but I don't care. I've stood out on a field and been like, this is where they put the ball down and he kicks it through here? Good Lord. But I do think they, from their own 35 to the other team's 35, they're lost. And I do think, you mentioned the defense of the Chiefs. I think it's something, I brought it up to Eric Bieniemy, and I asked him, and, do you think we're going to a place, do you think we're going to see more and more of it? And he talked about, well, there's always a debate. There's a lot that goes into it and everything. It's like, actually there's not. I mean, yes, there's a lot that goes into your play call, but making the decision to go for it, which I know a coach would be like, wow, the play call is part of whether or not you go for it. You got to have a good play. Right. And if you don't have a good play, then you're fired. Okay, because that goes without saying. Like if you can't consistently come up with good plays, well, then I got to fire you for that, because it isn't your decision making on fourth down that's getting you fired. It's the fact that we suck, right? So like that part, I hate when they're like, well, you have to have a good play. Yes, but you have to have good plays to be a play caller. So if you've achieved the level of play caller, then you have good plays. That's the part that I don't like. They put all these obstructions in the way, and all these pseudo things that you have to come through as to whether or not to make up your mind. The bottom line is, what is your success rate, and does that? This is where I think football is like baseball arguing after 125 years, and it was made obvious that on-base percentage is more important than batting average. And it took them about, 10 years to finally everybody get on board with that? That's what's going on with fourth down right now. I believe in 10 years, we're going to be like, I can't believe, 4th and 2 at your own 39, they weren't going for it. We're going to talk about how ridiculous they were for not making those decisions.
Well, I will say right now that if I was a coach, I would not go for a fourth down and longer than, a foot inside my 45-yard line, because it's an automatic field goal if you don't get it now, the way you talked about those kickers.
But it does a field goal.
And you're still that far away from scoring. That's the thing. I mean, I think people too routinely think, well, we get this fourth down here, we're going to score. Well, no, you still have to keep on driving.
Okay,
so
but what percentage
that's
of the time?
That's just one rule I would have right now in my world. I would not be going for it at 4th and 2 inside my 45-yard line.
You know, now the mathematicians,
barring, I mean, game situation. I mean, if it's down 2 scores at the end, I'm just saying in a regular normal, it's the second quarter. It's a relatively close game. I'm punting.
Right. The mathematicians' numbers are based on what's always been done, which to me is somewhat flawed, right? It's all the evidence we have to go on, but it's flawed because it's based upon people don't go for it very often. When they start going for it more, then that'll change the calculus a little bit to what's going on. But the mathematicians will tell you that on 4th and 1, do you know what yard line they say you begin to go for it on 4th and 1?
Probably inside the 45 that I just said.
Yeah, your own 9. In other words, everywhere. Everywhere. Because you can't have 4th and 1 from your own 5, right? You got to be 9 yards out. Literally, 4th and 1 is an anywhere proposition, according to the mathematicians.
Well, I think they're mathematicians, not football coaches.
But weren't the mathematicians right over the baseball managers?
Totally agree. Yes. But I think what they're saying is that there's a very good mathematical chance that you're going to get the 4th down. I see that. But what are you gaining? Versus what
are you losing?
Well, say it's
you punt away and a guy might run it back for a touchdown. And granted, that's a small number, but you're already putting them. They're one completion away from field goal range anyway. If you punt from your 9,
right? But if you go for it at the 9, then they're 9 yards away from scoring a touchdown. Forget the field goal.
True. But
so I think it'd have to rise to the point where the percentage is not something like 63, even though that's a good percentage. That's almost 2/3. But the downside to me is too great on the 37 part.
I think the other thing that if a team would do it, and I think this is a team that can embrace it, right? Like I will say this: if you weren't going for it all the time in 18 when your defense sucked. Then when your defense is playing well, which it's not, it's playing better after the Dolphin game, but wasn't playing great the 2 games before that. But early in the year, it was playing well, right? I was holding everybody to 20 or less, and so it was playing well. If it wasn't time to go for it in 18 when your defense sucked, then isn't it have to be time to go for it when your defense is better? Because it was like, well, I can't put my defense in a spot because they're not that good. Okay, now they're good. So go for it. Take advantage of the reward. Because you've got a defense that can bail you out. That's my frustration, like with the Chiefs, is they never wanted to go for it in 18. Right? And to me, that's when you absolutely should. When your defense sucks, you should be like,
right,
I'm not
and you're far more likely to give up points and plays and things like that. I see that. I do see that proposition. So to me, it's more complicated than just saying, you know what? This is a good percentage play from the 11-yard line. Yes, I remember back in the day when I first moved back out here, I used to read. I lived in Lawrence, and I used to read the Lawrence Journal-World, and Lawrence was hell on wheels then. And I'd be reading the game stories, and I'd be just like, what? After Lawrence converted on a 4th and 3 from their own 18.
You're talking about Lawrence High School.
Yeah, Lawrence High School. Yeah, and they routinely were doing it because they were just overpowering other teams, and they didn't care. It was funny. So that was power football, and it was a different time and everything. But I remember just thinking, this game story's wrong. They couldn't have been doing that. So maybe we will feel that way on down the road. But I think a lot of it depends on whether we continue in an environment where offenses are so dominant, which I don't think there's any indication that the league wants to turn back the clock on that. And I think that more and more you're going to be probably proven more right than I am, because I think that sometimes conservatism is still a good way to go about it, because coaches are realizing that there is no real advantage to just stuffing the ball up the middle. If more and more, as you've seen Andy Reid evolve this season, he's putting the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands on those plays far more often than he did before.
Yeah, and it's
wise. Yes, it's wise.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we'll take a break, get Danny's thoughts. What does he think is going to happen in this game against the Saints? It is the program with Danny Clinkscale. Danny Unleashed is brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. You, right now, can get a free inspection and a free estimate. Residential, commercial, they do them both. In fact, the biggest commercial jobs, we got 2 huge commercial jobs going on right now. Easton Roofing, and get you back to business faster, right? Sometimes it's just a repair. They'll give you every possible option out there. Educating their clients is something they love to do. They will go through and take the time to figure out every possible solution for you and give those all to you, making sure that you are 100% satisfied. In fact, they collect no payment until you're 100% satisfied. Call Easton Roofing today. We're handling the entire metro, including Lawrence and Topeka. 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, there's all kinds of roofing companies in Kansas City. People see their trucks, they see their ads, they see their commercials on TV. What separates you out from the pack?
Danny, there's a lot of roofers in Kansas City that are good roofers that can put a good roof on, but we like to pride ourselves on giving you a good customer service experience. From the first time you call, you're going to get a friendly voice on the phone. We're going to let you know what's happening and when it's happening. And, the other piece is some companies are small enough to do small jobs. Some companies are big enough to do big jobs. We're right there in the middle. We can handle the little stuff. We can handle your repairs all the way up to your big commercial roofs.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you at Easton Roofing?
You can find us at eastonroofing.com, or you can always call us at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Talking to Danny Clinkscale, it's Danny Unleashed. It's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Great folks, great Kansas City company, founded right here, family-owned operation, big enough to handle any commercial job here in the metro, but still understanding their roots, happy to handle any residential job, any job, little job, no problem. Easton Roofing understands how important it is to have a roof over your family's head. They will take care of you like it's their very first job, like it's their biggest job, no matter how big it is. Call 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com. Danny, what happens in this game? What do you expect?
I think it's going to be a really good game. I have seen no indications of the Chiefs killing people here over the last month and a half, but they always win. So I am going to lean in that direction, that it's going to be a very good game. The Chiefs may get out to a lead, but then may stall. I do think the defense is going to struggle in this game. So I expect a high-scoring, entertaining game that the Chiefs manage to win, because that's what they do.
Well, that's boring.
I've thought for a while that the Chiefs might if I predicted this game 6 weeks ago and 5 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, I probably would have picked the Saints to win. No, if I knew that Drew Brees was going to play. But as time goes on, the Chiefs just keep on doing this. Not magic act. They just are too good for the opposition, even if they make a certain amount of mistakes, even if they just go to sleep when they have a big lead, even if they spot them some points. It doesn't really seem to matter. So why wouldn't I lean to the side of the fact that the Chiefs would get the job done?
I still like the Chiefs kind of big. I think the Saints' defense is overrated. I think they're somewhere between what they were the first half and what they've been the third quarter.
I don't want to be mean,
season.
but you talk about boring. This is the same prediction you've made for a month and a half.
I know, and I'm going to keep doing it until I get it right, damn it. It's totally boring. I'm bored with making it.
And I totally do understand why you continue to make it, because you figure that sooner or later the Chiefs are going to turn all these good things that they do into an effort that it's just too much for the opposition to even hang with them. And they should. They should one of these times.
Yeah, their recent history is hammering good teams. Beating the Ravens, beating up on the Bills. Yeah, that's what they do. And then getting tripped up last year by the Texans, Colts, and Titans, which I know the Titans got the AFC Championship game, but they were a 9-7 team. All right, and so to me, in years past, maybe even last year, they lose the Dolphin game. Right, that's the kind of game. Pretty good team, feisty team. but not one of the world beaters. And when the world beaters come, they rise up and beat them. And so I'm expecting that to happen here, right? I think they're just – I'm with you. They're so damn good that they're bad games. Like, we nitpick them, but it's like, yeah, they had a bad game and they still won, and that's how good they are.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a really good chance we're going to be like, how did they screw it up against the Raiders? Like, if they're 15-1, how much are we going to be like, what the hell happened that day?
Well, I probably won't be in that camp because, you just
I will.
You play with fire that many times, and that was the first one of this run of games. Something's going to go the other way on you.
I disagree.
Every once in a while.
That game is unique. It's singularly unique in the sense that they got blown up in the second half. Yes, there's all these 10-point comebacks, but they're usually erased by halftime. That they fell apart in the third quarter.
Right, they did. But, they've had other games where they got ahead. And
they had a big lead against the Raiders, didn't they, Curtis? Weren't they up double digits?
Yes,
Up 21-10, 14-3, and 21-10.
Yeah, 14-3, 21-10.
So that's nothing like these other games.
No, but, they're all games that the Chiefs played, blowout football for a portion of the game, yet somehow in the end they were either covering an onside kick or – having to.
But it is the one game where they were down double digits in the second half. That is where it's the outlier.
Right.
Yeah.
This is usually when a team wins this many close games or relatively close games in a row, the thought is, well, at some point they're going to drop one. But I think that the overwhelming opinion is at some point they're going to lower the boom and crush someone.
Yeah,
I don't know that many people that think it's going to fall apart.
I guess that's kind of what I said. But also, it seems like the Chiefs just have to play these type of close games. I mean, it's like they're committed to entertainment or something.
I actually think that, they're just I just actually look at them and go, as good as they are, they still haven't put four quarters together.
Totally
and at some
agree.
point they're going to do it.
Heck, I don't even know if they put three quarters together yet.
That's fair. And so to me, I think there are better days out there. Now, the one thing that does scare me is they got healthy for the stretch run last year. I mean, Alex Okafor was out.
Yes, but they were very healthy.
And Ogbo was out, and then they lost Thornhill at the very end. But they got a lot of people back. They seem to be getting hurt now at the wrong time. Like, the injuries are kind of coming late along that offensive line. And backs scare the hell out of me with offensive linemen. So, that is a little bit frightening. But, no, I'm with you.
The right people are getting hurt.
So far.
Right.
The tackles being down.
Not ideal, but
Rankins.
Not ideal, but not Kelsey.
Well, that's true.
Not ideal, but not Tyreek.
Not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Which they survived last year. No, your points are all valid, as they always are, Danny.
Oh.
That's why we love it when you come into the program.
By the way, a quick heads up: today's Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing at DannyClinkscale.com is Willie Wilson. Really
nice.
Tremendous conversation with him. Insightful, personal, revealing. Really, really cool.
He'd have been a good wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, he would have. Absolutely. DannyClinkscale.com is where you can see more of Danny's great work here every Friday here at 3 o'clock. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.